Welcome to the MumBoss podcast. This is a space for women who have transitioned to growing a business midlife or who are presently transitioning. The catalyst for your change may be motherhood, just like mine. And the vessel for increased flexibility and freedom comes from building your own heart-led business. So let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back to episode 58 of the MumBoss podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, you are so welcome to the show. My name is Lorna Lyons and I am the owner and founder of the MumBoss Coaching and Mentoring Company. I'm also a community leader for the MumBoss Network, and I have a number of different digital offerings inside my business to include memberships like the MumBoss Network, where I bring together female founders who are both product business owners and service providers together in a learning community where they can learn how to grow and market a business using the free online platforms such as social media marketing platforms, email marketing, blogging, podcasting, YouTube, all the things, and who really want to connect with other like-minded business owners who are growing their businesses online in order to gain friendships with those people, meaningful relationships with those people, and even to collaborate with those people. So we've got lots of women inside the MumBoss Network who come together and they host live events together in person and online, and do lots of sharing of each other's work with each other's audiences. They speak inside each other's communities, lots of great stuff like that. And I also run a course called the Community Creators Club. And this is the place specifically for aspiring community builders who want to be able to launch their own community membership. And inside this club, the Community Creators Club, I teach people how to build, design, launch and lead an incredible monthly recurring revenue community membership. So it's founded on connection, founded on community. And really the membership model is the engine for the entire business offers that get developed around it. So over the course of the last few weeks, I've been creating a specific series as part of this podcast on leveraged content. So leveraged content is that digital content that gets to be used time and time again. So no matter whether you're there in person, live or not, the people who are consuming that content, whether it's audio or visual or text, they're achieving results. They're able to progress whether you're actually there live or not. So I love leveraged content because my biggest value has always been, since the very inception of me growing a business, has been time freedom. How could I create ultimate time freedom in my business so that I could enjoy the life that I have, the family that I have, my children at the young ages that they're at. And I'm watching over the years so many female founders grow businesses that are a replacement to the professional careers that they had before in terms of the hours that they're working in them, if not even longer than they were before. And there are these like jokey memes that I see going around in social media, which is, you know, I leave my 9 to 5 so that I can have a freedom focused business, and then it shows a picture of them working in and on their business 24 hours a day. And those memes always frustrate me because that's not what we do when we're starting a business, especially the sort of women who are in my community. A lot of them are mums or they're in their midlife, 40s, 50s, 60s, and they're starting something new that's lifestyle focused, lifestyle first, and the business is being wrapped around that. And so I really, really hate to see people go down the rabbit hole of creating a prison from their business instead of creating something that really gets to generate time freedom and profitability inside your business and your life. So, like I said, over the last few weeks, I've been sharing this series on leveraged content, primarily focused in on courses and memberships, because that is what I have used in my own business and it's what I teach other people to grow inside their businesses. Courses, memberships, and transformational coaching programs. So if this is you and this is something that you want to do for the future, then you're in the right place. This is where we get to talk about these digital products. But something that has come to my attention in the last few weeks from the countless emails and DMs that I've been receiving from people who have been saying, I would love to have this in my business. I would love to run a community membership, but it feels so far out of my sight right now. Or I would love to have a course, but I don't even know where to get started. And through the conversations I've been having with these different women back and forth, it's become apparent to me that many of the people inside my audience have not launched their first digital product yet. And this was really surprising to me. And I guess it's a lesson for me and for you as well, as you're listening here, to consciously take the blinders off and see your people where they're at, those who are in your audience. Where are they at right now? Because you can be so far down the road whereby you have an expectation that other people are further along or at a different point, at a higher level than they actually are. And when we have that expectation and people aren't at that place yet, you know what? There's a disconnect, and we're not going to be able to help them get the greatest progress or get the greatest results that they can achieve, because we're not meeting each other where we're at. And so the purpose of this episode is to create a very practical episode for you, to give you the building blocks that are needed for developing a digital product in your business. And a digital product doesn't necessarily have to be a course or a membership. Maybe that's something that could come later. Because when I look back, courses and memberships weren't the first digital products that I had ever created. Digital products were the first products I created, but not in the form of courses and memberships. So I want to use this episode to share with you how you can go about creating digital products inside your business, which can give you time freedom and can also give you access to teaching or sharing your knowledge in a one-to-many space rather than a one-to-one space, and can open up the world of online education for you so that you can feel like you're closer or more ready to step into being the creator of a course or the leader of a membership, if that's something that you desire in your future. So let's just break down exactly what it looks like to create a digital product. I'm going to go way back to when I first started my first business, not the MumBoss Coaching and Mentoring Company, but the very first business I set up was called Bump and Beyond Wellness. And this was a coaching business that I set up as a side hustle to my then teaching job. It was a coaching business primarily for pregnant women, for their partners, and supporting women through that postpartum period, that transition into motherhood. So when I go back to the very first digital product that I created, and I want to say the reason I set up a digital product was because I was working full time. And so in my life at that time, I did not have the capacity to create any kind of event outside of my home in person. That all felt like too big and too scary and too far away. I had no audience. I wasn't sure how I would go about bringing people together in a space whereby I would host an event, and it felt like that was too time heavy in comparison to the time that I had in my life as a mum to 3 young kids and a full-time job. So the digital product that I decided upon that made the most sense to me back then was a workshop, an online workshop. Okay, so this can be a great first step into the online education space. So your online workshop, the three main questions that you really want to be asking yourself, if it's a case that you're like, okay, I've never taught online before, I've never shared my expertise online before, how do I even get started with this? The very first thing that you want to be asking yourself is, who is it that you want to target for this workshop? Now, you might have a response inside your body right now as I ask you that question, which is like, well, it could be this person, or it could be this person, or it could be that person, because you've got so much knowledge and expertise that you share that you can help all these different people in all these different categories. But what I'm going to say to you is, for the purpose of this first workshop that you're going to create, is pick just one of those people and have that person very clear in your head in terms of who is she or he, in terms of the place that they're at in their life right now. You know, what age range are they? Where are they living? Who are they living with? What is their life circumstances right now? What is their career choices right now? Or what's their career aspirations? What's their position in their role in life right now? Are they a mother, a father, a sister, a daughter? What area is it that you're speaking into? And what problems are they specifically having that you feel really called to support them with? Okay, so just get crystal clear on one person who you can start this off with. Because if you can really niche down and get clarity and focus on who this first person is, you can create all sorts of different workshops in the future for all your different people. But it's about starting where you're at and getting really comfortable with the first one. So who is it that you feel innately drawn to support and help right now? And that is not cutting off all the other people that you can help. It's just having a focus on this particular workshop. So yeah, just get really detailed and as specific as possible here, and don't be afraid to call that out in your messaging, being super specific with who it is that you're speaking to, because when you do that, you will turn the volume up for all those people who are listening to you. They will not scroll past. They will not hear you. You will be noisier in their ears when you are more specific about who they specifically are as a person. And in turn, you will get more people booking into your online workshop. The second thing for you to ask yourself when you are creating your first workshop is, what exactly is it that I'm teaching? So what are the different aspects that I want to be able to get across to the person who is going through the certain problem or pain point that it is that they are going through? So this is completely niche dependent in terms of like what your workshop is about. But you want to make sure that what it is that you're teaching is very obvious to the people who are like landing on your page and seeing the text. If they weren't to go scrolling through any of your social media at all, or if they weren't to go and jump into your website, that you just had the words available on the screen on like a social media caption of what you're teaching inside this workshop. Having that as clear as possible is a really, really good thing to do, because I see a lot of people create workshops with like fancy names or names that have a meaning to the person who's creating it, but not necessarily translating to the people who might be attending it. So, people might use little like rhyming slogans like align and thrive, or chaos to calm, or these kind of things that it's almost been overused. So you want to be really specific on what it is that you're teaching and call it out there, so that there could be no ambiguity around what kind of chaos we're talking about. Chaos to calm. Is it chaos in your marriage? Is it chaos in your parenting? Is it chaos in your family? Is it chaos in your friends? Is it chaos in your workplace? Like, we don't know from that what specifically it is. So you want to call that out. You want to focus in on what it is that you're teaching. And for your workshop, you want your people walking away with something tangible that they're ready to take action on right now, or even some small mindset shifts that can happen during the space of the workshop that you're providing to them. So instead of sort of sitting at your laptop and trying to bring all of your expertise and all of your knowledge to the table and bring in all of your ideas, you're much better off to focus in on 1 to 3 really clear, manageable mindset shifts or exercises or activities that your participants can take part in during the workshop or at least straight away afterwards, so that they're feeling the results. What you don't want to do is create a workshop that a person attends and they're learning so much, and in fact they learn it's overconsumption of learning, and they come away from it feeling overwhelmed, not really knowing where to start, because that person will not achieve the results that you want them to achieve. So you're better off having like one thing that you're teaching people, or at a max 2 to 3, and let them come away from that workshop feeling like really like they've progressed in the direction of where it is that they want to be going. So the third thing that I want you to really focus in on when you're thinking about this digital product that you want to create for the first time is, why are you teaching that? Okay, what is the big why behind why this is important for you to share with other people? And this is usually in line with, what are the benefits or the outcomes or the results that the people who are attending your workshop are going to experience. Okay, so we could, again, you could sit down to create a workshop and you could come up with all sorts of different learning outcomes and things that you could teach people, and it could be all great, but unless there is like a big motivational reason behind why it's important to do these things, then it'll lack luster, it'll lack some of the oomph, the charisma, the charm, the reason why people will actually feel activated to do something about it in their lives. So they're the 3 things for you to really, really focus in on. That's all there is for you to focus in on, for you to be able to go ahead and start creating an online workshop from scratch. Who it is that you are specifically targeting, what exactly it is that you're teaching them, and why is it that this is important to teach. They're the 3 things. And then once you have those 3 things clear in your head, just really tune into it as you're listening to me here now. Hear what's dropping in for you, because your intuition is going to be speaking to you right now as you're listening to this. You're going to have little whisperings come up for you. And even if you want to just press pause on this podcast right now and just give yourself a little bit of space and silence just to hear what's being shared with you, that is allowing your intuition to thrive, and your soul knows exactly what it is that you should be sharing. But often we do not create the space and silence to really, really hear it. So I invite you to press pause on this if you haven't already, and just listen to what's coming up for you about what you would love to share with people if you were to go about creating your first online workshop. Okay, once you have those 3 questions in your head, who am I targeting? What am I teaching? Why am I teaching it? The next thing to ask yourself is, how is this best communicated? So I've been kind of talking into an online workshop here because I just feel like this is the simplest and most effective way to just get yourself into the online space. You could be someone similar to me who has a completely different professional background, and you've never been in the business creation online educational space before. Or you could be like some of my mentees who've been in business for decades but have not bridged over into the online space yet. And so, it's different for each person in terms of what method it is that you want to be able to teach your content to people. So if the online workshop for you is calling out to you right now, that is a great digital product to get started with. And your online workshop can take so many different forms. It could be a 1-hour webinar, or a 1-hour workshop, or a 1-hour masterclass. They are all the same thing, just packaged with different ways. So think about who your people are, who it is that you are appealing to. In the business world, people identify with masterclasses, but if you're not teaching something in the business world, maybe a workshop or a tutorial could be something that's more identifiable by your people. So picking words that your people are going to identify with and say, that's something that I'd love to go to. It could be 1 hour, like I said, or it could be 2 hours, or it could be 3 hours. There is no right and wrong markers on how long these things can be. It's really what feels right for you, because the energy that you bring to this is what's going to help people stick around. So I have done workshops that are 45 minutes. I have done workshops that are an hour and a half. And I've equally done ones that have run for 3 hours, because I've brought in like a Q&A as part of it. And for each of them, they're tailored at different people at different stages wanting different things. But I would create a workshop that stems from you, that you're like, this is what I know my people, the length of time my people would need in order to be able to achieve X, Y, or Z result. Rather than looking out there and going, oh, everyone seems to be doing 1 hour masterclasses, that's obviously what I should do, and then go and create from that place. No, that is being influenced and being led by people around you. You want to be led by yourself, okay? Your soul knows the answer. And now it might be a case where you start thinking about your workshop and you start breaking it down, all the different things that you could do, and then you're finding your workshop is going on for 90 minutes, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and you're like, oh God, I kind of feel like it's too much information for people for any one given time. That's okay too, because now you've just created 2 workshops, okay? Workshop 1 and workshop 2. And there's 2 ways that you can go about marketing this, depending on what you feel is best for you and your people. You could have your attendees pay an upfront price to be able to attend your 2 workshops, workshop 1 and workshop 2, happening over a weekend or happening 2 Mondays in a row. Or you could have people just pay for workshop 1, and through workshop 1, towards the end of workshop 1, you're leading them towards what you're going to be covering in the second workshop that is optional for them to continue the development or their growth or their learning or whatever it might be. And so you then lead them from workshop 1 into workshop 2, and they pay 2 separate amounts, okay? 2 separate prices, 2 different days. I would really recommend that as you're doing this planning for your program, for your workshop, whatever it's going to look like, that you really think about, where is it that I'm leading people? Because this is where a lot of people get it wrong when they're growing businesses online, is they come up with one idea, one digital product in the form of a workshop. That's what we're talking about here. And they put all the energy and intention into marketing and bringing all these people to the call. You've got everyone arriving. They're really excited about the information that's on offer. You've got a great workshop. You know, you share brilliant and valuable information with them. And then the workshop ends and you wave goodbye to everyone and they all say, thank you, thanks so much. They're delighted with what they received from you. And then they go about their business, they're gone, and you've got nowhere else to lead them to. And then you kind of feel like you're back to the starting point again, whereby you have to start promoting and marketing that workshop again, you know, to be able to host it maybe next month or in 2 months' time. And you end up in this bit of a hamster wheel of constant promotion and constant bringing in of new clients. Where can I find my next new people for my next workshop? That was certainly the space that I found myself in when I was doing this for Bump and Beyond Wellness back in the day. I was hosting workshops and I didn't have a plan. You know, it was my first time growing an online business, so I had no plan made out. I just had this workshop. And so if I could go back in time, that's definitely something that I would change about that. I would create a funnel, a customer journey that would lead people seamlessly from my first workshop into my second one, or whatever other digital offerings that I was growing inside my business. So that's a mistake that I made early on that you can learn from now. So when you're sitting down to create your workshop, your webinar, your masterclass, plan out a really thoughtful customer journey of those people who are attending your workshop. What do you want them walking away with? Like, what is the mindset shifts, the progress, the results, the learning that they're going to be walking away from at the end of this webinar? And then what could you invite them to next? Okay, what could you invite them to next? This is looking in at repeat business for yourself. It's the easiest type of lead generation you could ever possibly look for, is when you are getting repeat business rather than constantly trying to acquire a new business. That's where all of the pressure, that's where all of the scarcity lies, is when you're constantly looking for those new clients all the time. You feel so much more ease and spaciousness in your nervous system, in your mind, when you've got a formula that just brings repeat business back to you, time and time and time again. So, what other digital products can you get on board with here as you think about what things that you could design for the online space rather than the offline space? Well, these workshops that I've talked about, when I go back to my time for Bump and Beyond Wellness, this is how it all began for me. I had one workshop that ended up being a really long workshop, so I ended up breaking it into two, just like I talked about, workshop 1, workshop 2. And as I grew it over time, I started adding lovely little assets to it, like a beautiful workbook that people could access as they were attending the workshop. So rather than people just coming and having to take loads of notes, I was sharing with them a workbook that had a lot of the headings there, and they just needed to fill in things that were appropriate to them as they were going through the workshop. And it just meant that afterwards they had this tangible notebook that they could keep for themselves and revisit their notes. And again, that just adds to their ability to be able to achieve more, because they're not just relying on remembering what they heard during your time together. They have this book afterwards that they can go through and remind themselves of their notes. So that was a great addition that I added to the workshops. But like I said, how did the development of these different digital products happen inside my business, so that you can plan this out for yourself too in a way that feels easeful and effective and growth orientated? So my initial workshop got split into two. Then, after I had workshop 1 and workshop 2, I decided that I would invite people to a couples workshop after that. So there was another place for them to go to. So for my workshops, it was predominantly mums, pregnant women who were attending the workshop. And so they'd come and they'd spend this time and they'd be like, oh my God, this is so amazing. They'd feel really empowered in themselves. And then I would share with them how important it was, for their partners to be on board. It's not just about them having the information, but it was really important for their partners to have the information as well. And so the invitation for the next step was to come for like a one-to-one coaching program with me and their partner as well. And so this is another digital product that you can create if you love the idea of the one-to-one space. You can create a transformational coaching program, some kind of service, therapy, coaching, consultations, anything that is requiring you and that person live again over time, but over a series of dates. The coaching program that I ran back then was over 4 weeks. So 4 Mondays in a row where I would come together with them and their partner. So that is another digital offer that you could decide to do. Instead of doing a one-off workshop, you could decide to create a transformational program. And that could be done one-to-one, or it could be done as part of a group. And it could be similar to how you could package a course. I suppose with the coaching program versus the course there is an expectation with the course to have maybe some training videos recorded, or something that's immediately accessible for people who are buying into a course, that there's something there that they can start getting their teeth sunk into really quickly. Module 1's there and available for them. You don't need the entirety of the course provided to people, but there's something for them to get started with, certainly. Whereas the coaching program, you don't necessarily need anything there, because if your coaching program is going to be something like it was for me, where you're meeting up with your people, you're meeting where they were at, you were coming to the table with different exercises or prompts, or conversation, discussion, where it was going to go to, that was going to lead the program that you were going to do with them. So this can be an easier one again to step into if it feels daunting for you to start recording information, because this is some of the information that has been fed back to me recently. Is I want to do this, or I have all of these ideas, but I just haven't started recording yet. And I know from hearing this many, many, many times that that can be a thought or an idea that sits in your head, not just for weeks, but for months, and often for years. And we all know how quickly a year goes past. And I don't want anyone sitting here going, oh, geez, 12 months ago I was talking about doing this thing and I still haven't done it. Like, let's just figure out the small steps that we can take that can get you into this online education space now, today, in the next 6 to 12 weeks, rather than like creating the bigger projects in our head, which might be in the sphere of the course or the membership. And I know that this is what I've been talking about on this podcast, because this is what I love to help people do, is launch courses, launch memberships. But equally, I want you to figure out the one that makes the most sense to you. Because if I'm going to be really honest, I know from a lot of people who've been in my world over the last 4 or 5 years, they have seen the beauty of the membership model. They've either been in it themselves, or they've been watching from the sidelines, or they might know people inside there. And they have heard me talking about how great it is to run a membership for a really long time. And so I know I have influenced people to want to launch their own membership before they had any other digital products available. And I didn't realize I was doing that at the time. Quite honestly, I didn't spend a whole lot of time in my head thinking about, has this person got a digital product yet? I just spent most of my time talking about how incredible it is to run a membership for the reasons of getting more time freedom in your life, for the flexibility that a membership offers you, for the community and connection and the fulfillment and satisfaction that you get with being with people over a long period of time and bringing like-minded people together, for the focus on recurring revenue and like the ease that has on your nervous system rather than constantly trying to bring new clients into your business. So that's where my head was at and has always been at when I've been promoting, designing, launching, leading, growing and scaling a community membership. But what I have noticed is that the people who are in my spaces, who are doing really well with their own community memberships, are people who had some kind of online offering beforehand. Whereas the people who are struggling with it a little bit, struggling with the marketing of it, struggling with the showing up and the visibility and being the leader and the growing of it and the launching aspect of it, I can see are the people who haven't had that much experience in the online space. And so this has only been dropping in for me, if I'm honest, very, very recently. And so I want to meet you where you're at and say to you, if you desire to have a course or a membership in your future, amazing, you can have it. But give yourself the stepping stones that are necessary first before diving straight into it. Now, I will put a caveat in that and say it very much depends on your personality and your intrinsic motivation about how committed and dedicated you are to making this work for yourself. Because I'm a high achiever. If I'm honest, I am a high achiever. I'm an ambitious person and I back myself and I go for things. So if I decide to do something like I did way back when I was starting my community membership, I made the decision to do it when I didn't have a big audience. But I reached out and I got mentorship from people. I invested in people to teach me the ways. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I was very, very crystal clear in the kind of business model I wanted to create. I wanted one that was going to give me the time freedom. I wanted the wealth. I wanted the recurring revenue. I wanted the community aspect. So I knew what I wanted to do. So I got help, mentorship, support, accountability to be able to do those things. And so I did it with a very, very teeny tiny audience with no reputation, no brand or anything like that. So if you are like that and you've got that spark inside you and you just know that, you know, when you get something, you get your teeth into it, you take radical responsibility for yourself and you go, then step into these bigger, scalable products like courses and memberships, and don't be afraid to do it. But if you're someone who has not jumped into the online sphere just yet, you have, a huge amount of self-doubt suffocating you still, in terms of like visibility and putting yourself out there and creating content online, and the things that come attached to running a membership in a course, such as launching or live launch events and things like that, then these are the stepping stones that you can take first that will help you grow into being that person that can lead these spaces down the line. You don't need to go from where you are today to the big thing tomorrow. You get to take the small little incremental steps along the way that's going to just keep you on the straight and narrow, working towards your North Star, what it is that you desire in the future. So if that's you, then the online workshop, like the singular workshop, is a great place to start. And I want you to know that that's where I started. I did all those things that I've talked about. I did the online one workshop, then I split it into two, then I had the one-to-one programs, then I had the group programs, then I had the membership, and then I had the courses. So I've done all of these things, but I didn't do them all at the same time. Did little ones as we went along, and it's all incrementally led to the place I'm at today. So I'm going to leave it there for you today. Please do send me a message. Send me an email, hello@themumboss.com, or send me a DM over on Instagram. It's Lorna Lyons, or at my community membership space, which is at the MumBoss Network, and let me know what's coming up for you in regards to the next digital product, your first or next digital product that you want to launch. I'll talk to you really soon. Thank you for being here. Bye-bye.